Hello, and welcome to this video. You might be surprised by today's content because I only really talk about our BW artists here on my channel, but it shouldn't be a surprise for you that I am a huge Blink. So I am pretty excited for this comeback, and I wanted to leave here my predictions for BlackPink's upcoming comeback with their second full album. Without further ado, let's get right into the video by giving my prediction on their pre-release Pink Venom. How will Pink Venom sound like? I think that Pink Venom is going to be our typical Teddy BlackPink song, honestly. When BlackPink announced a comeback, I was a bit unsure if they were going with the D4.4 or with something more different like Lovesick Girls. But when they announced they would have a pre-release, I knew how they would do stuff. This pre-release is totally going on the safer route and is going to be a more typical BlackPink song, if you get what I mean. It's going to share a lot of similarities in its structure and development with How You Like That, Kill This Love and D4, while still maintaining its own image like the other three songs. This time around, the song will have a more dark and serious tone than How You Like That, and I think it's going to be the more different one from the 4 tracks. From the title Pink Venom, I get a feeling it's going to be a song with the main hook being the use of a very interesting and kind of dirty feeling synth, like the ones used in Hyo's Deep and Stray Kids' Venom. I don't know if it's because it's also called Venom, but I also think the song may have an instrumental like Bandit's Venom if it goes for a more typical girl crush sound. If my prediction is right, and if you know my love for Hyo's Deep, I'm totally down for this song, and it may end up being my favorite from the 4D4 reboots. I think it's worth noticing that the teasers released so far have been of a dark tone, but you can't really trust these because How You Like That teasers were also really techno-like, and the song didn't have that kind of aesthetics. Also, the credits poster has already been released, and seeing that Teddy and RT are the main producers of this song, I think that saying this is a new version of D4 is pretty safe. What's going to be the reception for Pink Venom? Honestly, either if this song is more unique or more like a D4.4, it's going to be a massive hit. Seeing the hype around it and believing that it is not going to let us down, I can see this song being their most popular one to date, breaking a ton of records for them. BlackPink are more popular than ever in South Korea, somehow because they haven't been doing much these past years, but the general public really loved Lovesick Girls and on the ground did amazing on the charts too, so I think this release is probably aiming for a pack, or at least really close to a pack, and it's going to do really well on the charts until the release of Born Pink. Internationally, BlackPink's popularity is bigger than ever too, really thanks to Lisa's success with Money, which brought them a lot of non-K-pop general public to them, and in this territory Pink Venom is going to be their most successful track to date, having their biggest debut for a song on Spotify and achieving a new record of #1s in different countries on iTunes. Pink Venom is also on its way to make YouTube history by surpassing the 80 million views in 24 hours record set by How You Like That, and I think it may even reach the 100 million views in 24 hours. I don't know if they are going to break BTS' apostrophe record for Butter, but I think it's a possibility. I also think that Pink Venom is on its way to become the most viewed MV of the year. Right now, that achievement is precised at that, with 300 million views as of now, but I think BlackPink can surpass those numbers with this comeback, especially if they surpass the 100 million views mark under 24 hours. From the views the teasers have been getting, I think this prediction is really well spot on actually. Pink Venom is also winning a ton of music shows, but I don't see it winning more than D4 or How You Like That, because many of them are getting cancelled next week, but it will be one of their most awarded songs, for sure. What about Born Pink? Moving on to the full album, that it's going to be released on September 16th. I think it's going to be an 8-track album, just like the album. It's going to include Pink Venom, obviously, but I don't think it's going to have Ready for Love, because that song has always been publicized as a BlackPink reject song, so it would be kind of weird to just release it on their full album now. Not only that, if that was the case, I think it would have been released on streaming platforms, which clearly wasn't, so I think Ready for Love is going to stay as a commercial film song. I saw someone saying that they didn't put Ready for Love on streaming platforms because it would be unborn Pink, but I have to disagree, since it's not like How You Like That and Ice Cream weren't released on streaming platforms, even being songs from the album. I think it was pretty clear how it doesn't really see Ready for Love as part of BlackPink's discography, but only a song for a commercial sung by BlackPink, due to business. Now, I will do a brief review of how I think this seed list will look like, but be kind to me on the order of the songs. I don't think my prediction of the order is going to be really good, not that my predictions are good anyway, but you get the point. The order is just more like for fun, but let's continue with the possible seed list. The first song is going to be Pink Venom, for sure, and I already talked about it, so let's go to the second song. The second song is probably going to be a collab, and probably with One Republic. The vocalist said that he produced 2 songs to BlackPink, if I'm not mistaken. One of them is going to be a collab, and it is probably going to receive a special MV sometime after the release of Born Pink, and I feel like it's going to be a rock-pop song with some epic vibes to it, and a release that I think will surprise many people and will do really well, probably one of the best tracks on their discography. It's worth noting that people say that this collab would only be with Jennie and Rose, but I don't know, it wouldn't make sense for only this subunit to get a collab in this album, and at the same time the album will have a collab, so I think this is the most probable option. But we may have a powerful Queen Bossy pop song with Taylor Swift, who knows? The third song is the title track of the album, that I think it's going to be the other track that One Republic may have produced for BlackPink, but I won't be surprised if only the second track was produced by One Republic. I think this track is going to be more unique and show a different side from BlackPink, unlike Pink Venom, just like Lovesick Girls did. I honestly have no clue how this song will be like, but I think it's going to be more of a BlackPink concept, unlike the previous 2 tracks that fall into the Black concept. It's going to be a fun song, for sure. Maybe a punk version of Bambaya. I would love that, honestly. But for these songs, I can't really give more predictions other than it's going to be a huge success when it's released, but more on that later. The fourth song is going to be a Money 2.0 OT4 version. Honestly, I think it wasn't expecting that kind of success with Money, so now I think they are going to push it on a group release. But I don't think it's going to be really similar to Money. It's going to share similar vibes and structure, but the songs will be different, and many people won't notice it at first. It's going to be a full English release, and I think they are promoting this track on US shows, or with the performance video. The fifth song is their promotional B-side that they are going to perform on music shows on South Korea, and it's going to be an extremely good track, I'm afraid. It's going to be as amazing as Pretty Savage, but it will not be similar like it at all. It's going to be a mix of various genres that BlackPink have tried in the past, like Forever Young, Don't Know What to Do and Kick It, and overall, it will be a really unique track, going more for the Pink side of their concept and sharing some similarities with As If It's Your Last. The next 2 tracks have 2 possibilities, or they are the subunit songs, with the 6th track being Rose and Jennie's subunit song and the 7th track the Jisoo and Lisa subunit track. or they are group songs with the following characteristics. The sixth track is going to be a more standard girl crush BlackPink song, similar to See You Later, and the seventh track is a more unique track, going on the direction of Crazy Over You, and therefore it will be a very experimental track, with some elements from Pink Venom, but with a total different approach of the sound. Finally, the eighth track will be more of a Pink sound, and it will be a more calm and easy listening song, but it will not be a typical ballad, nor a powerful ballad like You Never Know. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like it's going to be a song with ballad-like elements, but also with non-ballad-like elements. An example of this type of song is Purple Kisses Summer Rain. That is a soft ballad-like song, but that has some interesting elements to the song that make it not sound like a ballad. I recommend you listen to it to get my point, since I can't really show the entirety of the song here, and only the chorus doesn't show what I just said, but here, have a listen.
Are you happier now? 오늘도 난 여기 stay.
What's going to be the reception of Born Pink? Born Pink is going to break a lot of records. I can easily see this album sell over 2 million copies and be acclaimed as one of the best albums of the year. I think its impact on the industry will be big, with every track of the album doing well and some even going viral. Since the release of the album, the sales for K-pop albums have skyrocketed, especially after the summer of 2021, with a lot of groups selling much more after that period. Since they sold 600,000 with the album in a week, I can totally see BlackPink surpassing the 2 million sales in the first week. The title track of the album is going to do great on the Korean charts. I think that it will do even better than Pink Venom, and internationally it's going to be as big as Pink Venom, which in itself is going to be massive, and if that happens, I think this year is going to be owned by BlackPink really. BlackPink's popularity in South Korea is really big as of now, especially due to Lovesick Girls that didn't have a pack like How You Like That, but did well on the charts for months, and it left a big impact on the industry, seen by the number of groups that covered this song. For example, the band Ddu-du performed a girl group medley on Yehi's sketchbook recently, and they chose popular songs as of now, like IVE's 11 and G-Idol's Tomboy, aespa's Next Level, and the one and only Lovesick Girls by BlackPink. I will just put you a bit of the cover for your curiosity. The point is, many people didn't see Lovesick Girls as a big success, but on South Korea it really was, so the impact that this release will have on the GP will be big. This album will be a personal favorite of mine I feel like, and I also think the fandom will share of the same opinion. Overall, it will be a really important release from BlackPink, and their biggest one to date, with the release of their two biggest songs, maybe of their career. Is this BlackPink's last comeback? Honestly, I do not think this is BlackPink's last comeback. I think all of the 4 members will resign with IG next year, and that we will see a group release maybe even next year for their 7th anniversary. I will probably do a future video about this matter, but my reasoning for this is that IG will not let go of the girls, since they are their biggest group as of now, and, overall, one of the biggest acts in music in current times. So IG will fight for these girls to stay here, even if they have to give them a lot of rights in their new contracts. As for BlackPink, I don't see them stopping their activities soon. Although IG doesn't give them much music, they have many opportunities with clothing brands, for example, that they would not have if they weren't under IG, or at least, it would be harder for them if they just disbanded. Also, IG pays their artists well, and you see most of them resign after the 7 years mark. It is true that IG's girl groups never renewed, but BlackPink's situation is much different, the two ones. I think Rose is the member more affected by the lack of music releases by the group, since she seems to be the one more interested in music, not that the other 3 aren't interested, you get my point, so IG might be interested in investing more on her solo career in order to keep her under the label. Not to be mean or throw any kind of hate, please do not take what I'm about to say like that, but it twice renewed their contracts with JIP, even after years of overworking them and them getting no kind of solo promotions, with only Neillian being the first member to debut as a soloist now. I think BlackPink have high chances of renewing their contract. As I said, I have more to say about this topic, but for now I think I made my point clear. I am super excited for this comeback, and I think I am going to enjoy this album very much, and I can't wait for the release of Born Pink. I am also especially excited to see the MV for Pink Venom, because IG spent a lot of money on that, and I feel like it's going to be such a cool MV. Tell me your own predictions down below, Blinks. Also, are you going to any stop on BlackPink's world tour? Let me know on the comments section. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to tune in for future videos. I will see you next time, and enjoy Pink Venom.
I bring the pain like
Fly me to the moon, 나를 데려가